Welcome to Timeball Games. I'm ELD, here to ask you for help in growing the channel. When we reach 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a custom leather playmat to one lucky subscriber, so be sure to like and subscribe. Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic: The Gathering from ELD's Timeball Games in Bellingham, Mass. We've got Bug Delver here leading up with a Thoughtseize against Pile Souza on 4-color control, showing a couple of Brainstorms and a Colgan's Command, a hand that can really go anywhere. Colgan's Command, a super value card, especially against these creature-based strategies, being able to kill an efficient threat and either force a discard or perhaps rebuy a utility creature or value creature like Snapcaster Mage or Baleful Strix. We've got a Tarmogoyf attempting to land here, tapped out. Control not going to have access to Daze, but it may have some cheap spot removal that can handle this Goyf. Fatal Push, the most likely suspect. However, they also have access to a number of 2-mana spells and even Planeswalkers that can potentially handle this threat. Finding a tropical island. The mana base so far potentially vulnerable here for Goyf, for Pile. Wasteland, another line of attack that Delver strategies can use versus control decks. Try and prevent them from getting enough mana to fully utilize their answers. And looks like no land drop here for Nathan. Now that Colgan's Command actually can become a problem. We've got a Brainstorm in response, which gets dazed. And a Gurmag Angler, completely changing the complexion of the board now, shrinking these Tarmogoyfs. Gurmag absolutely gigantic and not something you can fatal push. Brainstorm with the fetch land. And this is the type of game that favors the Delver strategy. You see we've got this early aggression with the Gurmag Angler. The mana base has been hit a little bit. He's got some counter spells which can be used to keep his threats on board. We've got a fetch land. Shuffling. Now, I think Force of Will actually might have been shuffled away there, which would be an interesting choice. He really just needs to hold on. And he does indeed, as Pile scoops it up. Force of Will, the type of card which of course can keep you in the game against the most broken starts. There are certainly decks in Legacy that can just win the game on turn 1. Force of Will is a nice, warm, comfortable feeling when you look down at that in your opener, knowing that you at least have a fighting chance versus the most broken things that can happen. But it's also something that can be used to kind of hold on to the lead. It's not just good when your opponent has the better draw. It's very good at holding on to your lead. Can actually make different board positions just completely insurmountable. That's something that I think they kind of got right with Force and Negation. Another Force of Will style effect would have been a little bit too much, but Force and Negation not as good at holding on to your board presence. So if you've got something like that scenario with Gurmag Angler out, if Pile did have removal for it, Nathan wouldn't be able to defend against that removal with Force and Negation as easily. Of course, they did balance that out, I think, quite well by allowing it to be hard castable. But 3 mana is actually quite a lot in aggro strategy. Control decks certainly more likely to be hard casting it. They've really printed some game-changing cards over the last couple of years. Some of them have been deemed too good and had to be banned. Some of them, the jury is still out and people would like to see them go, but I mean, it's been quite an influx of incredibly good cards Some of them, like Plague Engineer, a real game changer. But strategies that suffer underneath them are not completely eradicated. Even decks like Elves can survive with Plague Engineer in the format just due to the raw power level. A Bayou Underground Sea for Nathan into Ponder. Arkham's Astrolabe. Drawing a card. This 4-color control list does have a bunch of dual lands in it as well. Veil of Summer, brushing aside this Thoughtseize, and that is a pretty big swing and a miss. To be able to draw a card and counter a Thoughtseize for only 1 mana is just so dangerous. And now Tarmogoyf coming down off of just basic islands. This Arkham's Astrolabe unlocking all of the colors of Magic, despite having a rock-solid mana base of basic island ×2. Nathan has a Baleful Strix, which is an excellent reply to this Tarmogoyf. We'll see if Pyle can clear it. Even if he does, he'll find himself down a card as this Baleful Strix does replace itself. Strixen, Icefang, Coatl, both just so good in that regard. Just the ability to come down, trade with an opposing creature or another removal spell, and also draws a card. It's just that type of card advantage. Adds up over the course of a game. And we see a Pyroblast ready to take out this Baleful Strix, but also ready to potentially stop a more threatening card if necessary. This can be an end step. We've got a Tarmogoyf being cast. This can be an end step Pyroblast, and now he's not going to be using that. Instead, the Goyf going to be able to hold on the ground. And look at that. Plague Engineer, ears must have been burning, as I was talking about it earlier, comes down and stops this Baleful Strix. And the asymmetrical nature of Plague Engineer is really brutal. The fact that Pyle's going to have access to his Baleful Strix while Nathan does not is going to be pretty difficult to deal with. That 2-mana bird that's coming down and able to trade with something like a Tarmogoyf is just so efficient. Card was worth a ton before its many reprints. I mean, it's been reprinted a ton of times. And now Jace the Mind Sculptor with a Brainstorm. And this really punishes this standstill situation. Every turn that Jace stays out is another step towards victory for Pyle. I mean, you cannot really allow a Jace to hang out and just continue generating card advantage. And now an Abrupt Decay allows the Goyfs to clear the Jace. And this is really a back and forth game. Veil of Summer, very good in this type of matchup, as it'll stop both the discard and the removal. Abrupt Decay, one of the few ways of actually stopping that card. We've got another Tarmogoyf, and we're back to Goyfs staring at each other. Still a pretty high life total. So it's going to start to be more about cards in hand. We've got a Pyroblast, stopping that Oko, which would have blown the game wide open. Brainstorm. Yeah, Oko there would just be devastating. Downgrading these Tarmogoyfs to just mere 3/3s when they're currently 6/7s is just as good as destroying them. The fact that Oko pluses each time that he does that is just absolutely ridiculous. Card would have been fine with a -2 Beast Within Instead, it pluses to make food and pluses to turn the best permanent out there into a 3/3. Or potentially just upgrade your own garbage permanent like an Arkham's Astrolabe into a 3/3. And barring that, you just make food and upgrade it. I think we all know the Oko story at this point. He is incredibly good and can't be allowed to resolve. Now a Liliana. Less exciting here. It does rebuy some stuff. Minusing a Goyf. Not really going to be super relevant. Liliana probably should just be used to return creatures from the graveyard. I believe there's a Baleful Strix in there. Yeah, minusing with Lily doesn't do very much. Perhaps Nathan was thinking he was going to be able to get to the ultimate. Snapcaster. And Nathan brainstorming possibly before scooping here. If this Snapcaster resolves, and Abrupt Decay taking out the other Goyf is just an incredibly big swing. We're talking about going from a even board to being dead in 2 turns. After this monster play of Abrupt Decay and now Snapcaster. We'll likely see a Goyf clear this Liliana. And then go to face with the other one. Absolutely. Still dead on the next turn. Might as well get rid of the Liliana to prevent any type of rebuy shenanigans. Her ability to bring stuff back from the graveyard. Often overlooked. She's so often the MVP when she shows up, but in this board state, very little help. Goyf, and Snapcaster. So much to try and stop. We've got a Tarmogoyf and a Delver of Secrets. Wasteland, not exactly ideal when you're behind. We've got a Baleful Strix drawing a card. I'm not sure if enough mana was paid for that. And now Tyrant Scorn clears the way for lethal. And we are off to game number 3. Nathan with Bug Delver will have the play. This is definitely what you want in this type of matchup. Nathan's going to hope to land a Delver, be able to defend it. That is the most common way for Delver to win this type of matchup. I would generally rather be playing the control strategy in this type of setting. Bug Delver can do alright when it's got a clock and they can go after either the mana base or the hand. But you really need everything to come together. The games where Delver beats control a lot of the time feel like you were just a turn away from stabilizing, which is exactly what Delver strategies are looking for. On the other hand, the games where control wins a lot of the time, it doesn't even feel like it was remotely close. You're just getting 2 for 1 all over the place and just trying to find a way back into the game. Snapcaster proved to be incredibly powerful last game. Abrupt Decay is one of those cards, along with Pyroblast. They're such powerful sideboard cards. Having access to those twice can just be incredibly busted. It's one of my favorite things about Snapcaster Mage is the ability to reuse those sideboard cards, sometimes main deck cards that are just incredibly powerful but tend to have a little bit more of a narrow focus. Flusterstorm's another card like that. We see Angarth's Rampage in Pyle's hand. That's another card. Being able to get rid of, for example, a Planeswalker and an artifact. Things that are potentially difficult to deal with in most situations. And now we've got a 0 power Goyf, which gets abrupt decayed. I'm sorry, fatally pushed. It's a heck of a printing. 1 mana removal. I remember going creatureless with Innocent Blood back in the day for control strategies, trying to find some way to have a really good 1 mana black removal spell. And here we see Thoughtseize with some options. Angar's Rampage is chosen. Couple of Abrupt Decays left in hand. Along with the Tarmogoyf. Right now, Pyle's mana base not playing along. He's got a basic island along with a volcanic. And now Liliana into an empty board. And she pluses. Nathan's going to try and find the ultimate here. He's got a counterspell in hand. I mean, if this is an interesting race. Oh, he is actually minusing. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I thought he was going to be trying to plus her up. Delver and Baleful Strix. Like, your opponent has the Abrupt Decay. If they find the green and black mana, they're going to be able to take that Lily out. We've got a Fatal Push taking down Delver. Of course, you can just come right back this next turn with Lily. Oh, he's got another one from hand. He's able to plus Lily, so she'll be around next turn when he minuses to get back the other Delver, or really any threat that he may find in the graveyard. And Abrupt Decay puts an end to those shenanigans. Lily generating some value there. Just 3 cards left for Pyle. Delver coming down. Arkham's Astrolabe. This needs to draw into like a Plague Engineer. That would be a total blowout. Instead, we've got a Baleful Strix. And keeping the mana open. Abrupt Decays exchange. One takes out the Goyf. Pyle responds by taking out the Delver. Tarmogoyf capable of doing just so much damage for only 2 mana. When he was first printed, really crowded out most of the other 2-drops. Now we've got a whole lot of other options, things like Snapcaster Mage and Dreadhorde Arcanist, Young Pyromancer, but for a while there, Goyf really sucked all the oxygen out of the room. And now he's just back to being playable. For a while, he was like not even particularly playable, and here's Oko. He goes with a plus. Yikes, if this Delver doesn't flip, and it doesn't, this could just be an absolute disaster. Oko can downgrade these creatures to 3/3s. Even Gurmag Angler, really not super exciting in the situation. Now that's gonna prune the graveyard a little bit. We'll see how big Tarmogoyf ends up being at the end. It looks like instant sorcery land at the very least. A Plague Engineer. Veil of Summer being thrown out there to draw a card and make this counter spell uncounterable. Oh, not uncounterable. Yeah, uncounterable. Hexproof, but they also can't be countered. So that Pyroblast is thrown out there. Huh. I'm not sure what we just witnessed there. Let me know how you interpreted that. I'll take another look. maybe we catch up in the comments and see. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.